Hey, welcome to our mastermind chat today. So this is our Goddess Tribe Mastermind group, and this is part of our Follow Your Path and Purpose Mastermind one-on-one mentorship, soul coaching, and lifestyle training. And so we have some amazing women on today. And I want to share with you specifically today, ladies, and I'm going to record this so I can share with our bigger audience too about the specific cycle that we're in right now. And I apologize for the background music because I'm in Starbucks right now. We are literally don't have internet. So I'm going to spotlight my video here and just let you know what's happening with Venus. So Venus today on the 9th of January 2022 was an exact union with the sun. So astrologers say Venus is literally making love to the sun. She dipped below the horizon. She was with the morning star for a very long time. And then at the beginning of January, she starts to go below the horizon where she's going into her shadow, into the womb. And then she's making love with the sun. She's going into that transit where she's literally in union with the sun. And so there's an infusion of sunlight with Venus right now, honoring this beautiful sacred union within. So a friend of mine, Jamie, the intuitive astrologer, has written a really amazing overview on what's happening right now. So I want to share with you a little bit about what's happening in this cycle, because this is, it's very key to know where we came from and where we're going, because the 19-month path has to do with our heart path. And Venus is our heart path. So she merges in the heart of the sun, and she's moving into a 19-month cycle of Capricorn. And she's in her retrograde journey. She is between the earth and the sun, and then she's aligning with the sun today, infusing with this solar light. And this energy is transmitted right here on earth. So she's one of the inner planets because she circulates a little faster than we do. Her cycle is very, Mercury, Venus are both inner planets than Earth, right? So these two inner planets have a lot to do with our masculine and our feminine. And they have a lot more to do with the outer planets, which have to do more with global consciousness. So the Mercury and the Venus, from my understanding, and as I'm getting to know more and more about astrology, is that Mercury and Venus itself are starting to basically, they're representative of our divine masculine, divine feminine, and Mercury is about to go into retrograde as well. So there's a shadow phase that we're in with Mercury as well. So Venus is a feminine planet and is an activation of the newly emerging solar feminine archetype within us. Our heart receives an activation, and this is happening right now. So if you notice any crazy stuff that's happening right now, this is really what's going on. And as Venus makes love to the sun, there's a new 19-month Capricorn cycle, which is seeded. This Venus cycle is a journey. It's remembering our divine, sacred, feminine essence, and it's reclaiming and embodying more of our brilliance. So I'm quoting from the Jamie, the intuitive astro, on Instagram when I'm telling you a little bit about this, because I've learned so much from her in this reading that she does, in the readings that she does. And it started to help me really embody my own Venus cycle in my own self. And through her journey, we're called to surrender conditioned identity that's not true to our essence, so that we can discover more of the exquisiteness of our own authenticity. So we can embody more of our true essence, we can bring forth our magnificent gifts, and we can share them with the world. So this is the first day of the cycle of Capricorn. We just ended a 19-month Gemini cycle. And so the Gemini cycle was extremely important. It started in June of 2020, and it went all the way through today. And so if you can think about your own life, what is happening in June of 2020, and then this whole 19 months, which has happened, it's super significant. So in my own personal life, there's so many things that are lining up exactly with those dates. And I'm going to share with you a little bit more about some dates, and you can think about your own life and see what that means. But in my own personal life, June of 2020 was when Jamie Takata and I started holding ceremonies together for women as a ceremony facilitator in the shamanic practices of healing arts. And our summer solstice ceremony was literally our first ceremony during 2020, during the shutdown and everything. And we've been holding them on the equinoxes and the solstices and some of the other 8 Sabbats between ever since those 19 months. This has been a huge, beautiful blossoming in my own heart space awareness. And this 19-month cycle was a big culmination of letting go and speaking my authenticity and speaking my truth and walking my true path according to my heart space and not according to what the world expects for us. So as Venus and the Sun are in sacred union, this is a beautiful time to create space for ceremony within the activation of our heart. So I know some of y'all on our mastermind call, we're talking about your own personal altar space. So by show of hands, how many of you, if you can put your hands up and show me on the Zoom, how many of you have your own personal altar space? I'm gonna jump over to the view. So, okay. So I think most everybody that's on the call has your own, which I would definitely, place expectations on even being in this program to being accountable to having your own personal sacred space in your home. At one point, like several years ago, when I was starting a brand new teacher, she's like, "Oh, well, I have a sacred space. It's at my studio." I'm like, "No, you cannot have a sacred space in a business outside of your home." No, that's not how it works, because you can't just wake up and go light your candle on your altar. If you want to do that, if you're sacred space, you have to drive to, right? So it has to be someplace within your home, even if it's as tiny as a teacup. Spirit told me years and years ago, if that sacred space is just as tiny as a teacup, that's all you need. And I love that analogy, because I also use the teacup analogy a lot, where you have your teacup and you fill up your cup through your self-care, your self-practices, and all of the heart space practices that we do, and we fill up that cup, but we don't give from our cup, because that's taking the oxygen mask off of ourselves and giving it to somebody else. So we let that cup continue to be full and filled to overflowing, so that the saucer is full, and we give from the saucer. So when Spirit gave me the teacup analogy for the size of our altar also, I was like, well, that makes perfect sense, because it doesn't have to be anything more than that. You could just put a little candle there, or an incense, or a crystal. It's size, time, space, doesn't matter. In this linear world, that's something that's projected, but it's not real. And so your intention is what this sacred space is all about, right? So this is a time not to be in our analytical thinking mind. It's a time to be present in the ceremony of the moment, to honor the exquisiteness of what it means to be an embodied sensual being, allowing our heart wisdom to guide us. This is a very sacred time. So I want to share with you a little bit about the key cycle that we just came out of, so you can look at your own life and see where these key points come in, and just see that this is so correlated. So our journey through the Venus cycle in Gemini is think about 19 months before January of 2021. And it's the journey of the morning sky, the morning star to the evening star. So she started out as the morning star, and then she ended up as the evening star. The phase dates might be a little bit variant, because it depends on where you live in the world. So on June 3rd of 2020, she made love to the sun in Gemini. And then this is when something in our own hearts were awakened. And like I mentioned to you, that's when I started holding ceremony, but that was awakened in my heart, because that was so important, to my path. And, that is really where I started realizing my purpose, because as a deeper level, my purpose was to hold space for women in divine ceremony, and to empower people on their path to truly living in their heart space. And that has happened for many years through my Yoga for Love online training programs, and for many years through the Inner Goddess retreats, but the deeper path of that started literally in alignment with this Gemini cycle. So Venus was in her morning star journey. She was a morning star from June 2020 to February of 2021. Her morning star journey invites us to instinctually respond to what was activated within our hearts at the start of the cycle. So again, think about what was happening in June of 2020, what was activated that time, and that happened all through February of 2021. We run with the inspiration, with the youthful enthusiasm. We discover that to fully embody and bring through what was activated, we must surrender aspects of our identity we've taken on through our conditioning that are not truly in resonance with our essence. So how many of you, by show of hands, have found something that happened in that June mid-pandemic period that activated within you that showed you your truth. Have you felt that time period makes sense for you? Yeah. Okay. So the surrender is reflected through Venus's slow descent down from her highest and brightest peak as the morning star, and then she lowers herself all the way down to the evening star. Each month the moon meets Venus, and each month that the moon meets Venus, she represents Inanna, which is the surrendering to her vestments at the gates of her descent into the underworld. So she transitioned into her underworld travel behind the sun. That was around January, February 2021. So this is a year ago. Okay. And so here we are, we're called to fully surrender, fully fucking surrender. And that in my own heart path, in my own space, that is when I was separated from my husband of 29 years, and I was called to partner with my twin flame. And so think about what was happening in January, February 2021. I mean, it was extremely turbulent for many, many people 1 year ago. So what was happening for you? This is what's shaking up in your own heart, right? So we're confronted with the limitations of our false identities and self-limiting beliefs that we've taken on. We're invited to embrace and extend love to the most rejected and abandoned aspects of self. This is a journey into the darkest night to discover more of our own light. How many of you can relate to that? Right? Yeah. Drop a little heart for each other, because that's a big deal. That's, when we embrace that path, it's not easy, and we're still going through it. It's not over, but we're starting in Capricorn this month, and let's get to that in a minute. So Venus continued her underworld journey as she appeared in the west at sunset around May of 2021. Then she was in her evening star from May 2021 until just a couple days ago in January 2022, where she went below the horizon into that womb space before she made love to the sun again. And once she made that connection all the way around that transit to the sun, and she went into the sun and reemerged in Capricorn. Okay. So she embodies a mature wisdom as evening star. As evening star, we're called to rise in more and more of our authentic feminine essence that was resurrected into the underworld phase. So that was from May of last year until just this January. We're invited to embody the wisdom we've received from the cycle and share and teach the new gifts that have emerged. So many of you that are in our program are now surprisingly being called to teach, right? You did this own journey for your own self, but now you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know it. Like, now I'm called to teach this. This is crazy. Like, I'm going to start sharing this with others. I'm going to start teaching yoga. I'm going to get my 500 mastery, and I'm going to really dive deep into my self-care, and I'm going to start teaching special groups of people. I'm going to start traveling the world. This is what I'm hearing from all of you in the program. I'm going to start showing up for people in my community. I'm going to start offering one-on-ones for people when I never thought I would do that. So what is that, whatever that looks like for you, all of you, each and every one of you in our mastermind program has came to myself and Jamie Takata and told us that you now are ready to start sharing your gifts. And that's when that was what was activated these last, from the last fall until, spring, late spring, summer, and fall, when she was our evening star. Then she dissolved into the golden light of the sun, and she reset, which is starting about January 4th to January 9th of 2022. And right now, she's calling us into rest as we prepare for the most sacred unions of love and light. And so today specifically, she is embodied and is in complete sacred divine union with the sun. And it's in Capricorn now she's going to reemerge. This cycle invites us to create the structures of life that we want to live through in our hearts. Okay, so we are in a total creation process right now. We are literally recreating. We are stepping out of the fucking matrix is what we're doing. We are no longer having to live by the laws of man, and we are living by the laws of spirit. And, it moves my heart so much to almost tears, because this is why we are here. This is why we've all partnered together. This is why you're in partnership with the women in this Goddess Tribe, whether remotely by just, being in our Instagram tribe or our Facebook tribe, or whether you're deep diving with us in our mastermind program or whether you're in our Yoga for Love training program, but you have chosen to match up with people of like mind because we are all finding each other right now. And for years, we were out there floating in space, like, I'm the freaking black sheep of the family, you know, I'm just the weirdo, like nobody understands me, you know, and here we are like, oh my God, I found my freaking people, you know, I have found my people. And that's how I see all y'all, like, yes, you know, my people. And I'm like, mwah, mwah, mwah. I've called y'all in for fucking decades. You know, we've called each other in for lifetimes. This is a soul contract, y'all. This is more than what we're doing here on this earth with our work and with our training. This is a soul contract. This is why we're here for each other. This is our heart space. I mean, can you feel it in your heart right now? If you place your hand on your heart right now, we can all connect to each other. So just do that. And breathe into that space of love. It feels so good. It feels so good to be seen, to be heard, to see you, to hear each other, to show up for each other. Things are dissolving that no longer resonate. You know, many of us were speaking privately on this chat about the big D, divorce, you know, and I mean, it's unfortunate to have to go through that. But as we do, we know that we are also embracing our self-love, because if that space did not resonate to our highest path, no matter what we thought it was and what we expected it to be, when we're faced with a decision to leave a partner, whether it's an engagement or a relationship or whether a marriage or whatever that looks like, we're moving out into that space. Some of us are coming into sacred union with our divine partners. We're finding our divine partners, maybe sometimes for the first time in this lifetime, you know. And for me, it was a total surprise that, you know, I had a twin flame. Like, I didn't think that was a thing, you know. I didn't know that I was going to find my twin flame and walk my soul path, and, you know, I'll go through this whole cycle. While Venus was in her evening star phase, my daughter graduated college. I moved from Plano to Waxahachie. I had just finished traveling to Connecticut to move my son into an apartment from the Navy after he got off deployment for 8 months. I filed for divorce. I got divorced. I went to Hawaii and held an amazing ceremony and retreat for some really fantastic women, and met a tribe of women over there who are on the same heart path. I was asked to lead a retreat in Egypt. I moved my daughter into college and, you know, cried my eyes out as she grew up so fast over the summer, and over the time that I left the house to the time that she went to college. I saw her embody herself as a woman. I moved into the new house and got settled, and I held ceremonies and retreats, and then I went to Egypt for a sacred journey. And, you know, that was this huge culmination of just that cycle that we just were in. So now we're in this brand new cycle, building the foundations for the new earth through our embodiment, through our being. We're being initiated into greater levels of self-mastery. Do you hear that? Greater levels of self-mastery. That is why you're in this mastermind program. That's why we customize it to choose, where you don't have to step into this traditional path of teaching because you want a freaking piece of paper. You know, you're stepping into this path because you want to master these tools so you can rise up and teach others and show up for the world, because people need us right now. They need light, they need love, they need direction, they need healers. And so our desire is to stay anchored in our hearts. That is so, so important. So also the door's locked here, excuse me. So also the main part here is there is times of great change. Capricorn initiations include embodying greater levels of responsibility. So what is the word responsibility? It's the ability to what? To respond, right? So we're shifting how we respond to things. It is a greater level of responsibility. It's no longer a reaction, but a choose and heart space alignment to how we show up with a response. Integrity, huge integrity. So integrity, not just how man sees it. I'm telling you, integrity to spirit, your alignment to source, your alignment to spirit, your alignment to your heart space and self-mastery. So we are called to cultivate self-mastery and share our gifts to benefit the world. So that's really where we're at right now. And that is this cycle that we're in. And so Capricorn, this is a 19-month cycle, and it is a huge important cycle. So this is why I wanted to open up the conversation tonight about feeling into our heart, checking into our heart space, tapping into this beautiful sacred union that we're in right now. So she's dissolved into the golden glow of the sunset, and she will soon reemerge as the morning star at her highest point. And so this is a beautiful time, this 19-month cycle. So it's an opportunity for you to set up your altar space and just be in that space of allowing yourself to take some time to reflect. I literally have time to reflect on my calendar every week. And so I am here, and I am, available on Sunday nights after my chat to go in and to literally take this opportunity to journal, to jot down, to sit with my heart, to maybe sit with some cards, whatever that looks like. So make sure you do calendar out some time for yourself. This is so important because, we calendar out everything. Why not calendar out some time for yourself, for your self-care, for your self-love, for your own person? So I'm going to stop the recording now. I want to invite you all to just join as a deeper dive on my Telegram channel at Temple Sacred Heart. It's Inner Goddess Retreats Temple Sacred Heart. So you can join. I think most of y'all are in there that are on this chat. It's t.me/Temple Sacred Heart. So t.me/Temple Sacred Heart. That's where I'm going to share some of this deeper dives. We're going to start working with the energy of sacred divine union of masculine, feminine within self, and the tantric union, the Egyptian chakra system, and much more. So I have a whole lot that I'm going to be sharing with you this year. This is the platform I've chosen to share it because it is so sacred and so private that I don't want it to be public domain. So you have to opt in to join the channel. So I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to open up the chat for y'all. Thank you so much for listening and for joining me. Namaste.